Well, I guess the Lunar New Year in Vietnam is pretty over now, and it's time for workers to return back to their work.
Now, we know that Lunar New Year, the Tết festival, is usually a very happy time here in the country, but this is not necessarily the case for industrial and processing zones in Ho Chi Minh City, the country's biggest city. This year, companies located in these zones fear labor shortages after the Tết holiday, as workers discouraged by low salaries and high inflation may seek out better opportunities elsewhere.
Sure, the following story from our reporter Võ Vân will tell us more about the current labor situation in Vietnam.
Nguyễn Hữu Đăng Khoa is a worker at FAPV in Tân Thuận Processing Zone in Ho Chi Minh City, but he is applying for a job at Toyo, located in the same zone, hoping for a higher pay to afford daily expenses.
Giá càng ngày càng gia tăng, mà đồng lương thì nó vẫn dừng chân ở mức đó.
The living cost keeps rising, while my salary remains the same or just rises a little bit. I cannot afford daily necessities. I'm living in this city and it's very hard for me to make ends meet, let alone for migrant workers who would need to pay extra for accommodations and other expenses. Workers in processing zones always look forward to the 13th month's salary, especially when faced with escalating prices. It is customary for Vietnamese companies to pay an extra salary as a year-end bonus. This year, however, many companies are still struggling with the effects of the economic downturn, paid some rather low year-end bonuses. Workers at these industrial zones come from various parts of Vietnam. The Lunar New Year holiday is the only time of the year when they get to travel back home. In previous years, they often did not return after the break, causing a labor shortage. This year, companies lost many such migrant workers to other jobs. The workers tend to seek out higher-paying jobs in order to better cope with rapidly rising living costs. We often joke that workers are millionaires. They are indeed. Each month they receive a salary of 2 to 3 million Vietnam dong, yet the amount cannot buy them much food. Nguyễn Tân Định, who is the deputy head of the management board of Ho Chi Minh City's industrial and processing zones, HEPSA, indicated that the current salary level and working environment at some of the zones is unattractive to workers. Hence, they may choose to go for better jobs.
Thu nhập người lao động trong khu sản xuất khu công nghiệp hiện nay là nó
Workers in industrial and processing zones still earn comparatively low incomes. That's why they are not committed to their jobs. HEPSA estimated that 1,062 companies in Ho Chi Minh City's processing and industrial zones are in need of some 44,600 laborers in the first half of 2011.
In the beginning of 2011, companies, especially manufacturers, have to struggle to keep their current labor force.
The solution for this situation comes in several ways, including pay rises and free accommodation for workers.
Chang Chiu-ming, who is the head of Palace Textiles Human Resources, said that the company was dealing with the challenge of labor retention. Labor shortage is a common problem for all companies in processing zones, not only ours. We can never predict loss of workers to other jobs for only slightly higher pay. Figures from the Department of Labor and Valets and Social Affairs of Ho Chi Minh City showed that in recent years, 25 to 30% of the workers in the textile and footwear industries have moved to the service sector. Ye Sheng-hung, who is the production manager of Palace Textile, said that the company is currently in need of some 4,000 workers to fill all the new orders after the Lunar New Year holiday.
Too many orders coming in. Right now we are facing the shortage of labor, which we need to address right now. We need 1,000 more in these 2 months to be able to complete our orders.
Ho Chi Minh City employment agencies estimated that on average, there were about 2,500 or 3,000 such job seekers in the first quarter of 2011, up by 15% a year earlier, as workers tend to look for jobs with better pay and working environment after the Lunar New Year holiday. On the other hand, there is demand for 3,500 to 4,000 workers every month, up by 10% compared to last year. The textile, handicraft, and service sectors are among the ones with the highest labor needs. In the midst of such a thirst for labor, companies have to offer their workers extra incentives such as pay rises, free accommodation, and better working environments. It doesn't only offset the rising cost of living, but also improves workers' morale, especially among migrants from far provinces. For instance, Palace Textile and Hepsa built 2 new dormitories for 1,000 commuting workers in Tân Thuận processing zone. To date, there are a total of 6 residential areas providing accommodation for 14,000 migrant workers, built by Hepsa and other companies. According to a report from Hepsa, in 2010, 11% of the companies in processing zones covered workers' lunches, but the number went down to 3.75% at the end of the year. A representative from Hepsa indicated that companies should design a clear labor retention strategy, as rising living costs and unappealing working conditions can easily cost them their workers' loyalty.
Well, I hope the solution